So, hello to all. This We are doing the XAT 2024 analysis. With me, I have Abhilasha and Shashank. And GP is unfortunately they sent GP to Meerut to ride the cat. XAT, sorry, and so he is still driving. I don't know whether he'll be joining in.
He will be
Let me
joining
check
us
with him.
late.
So by the time I'm sure that the session will be over. Okay. Let me just check with GP. Hmm,
I believe he's
joining.
thrown to Meerut every time. Even in CAT, he was there
Yeah.
itself.
I think he should rent a house for 3 months in Meerut itself.
Yeah, he should.
Okay. So let me said it. Okay. Anyway, so first of all, I can see already a lot of comments which says difficult. I can see comments like Quant was toughest, uh, and DM to काफी बेकार था. I don't know what is the sample size of people. Uh, so he's saying DM questions. Wall was like a 500-word essay and 200-word questions. A lengthy paper essay 2022 tough than 2023. Uh, DM easy tha. Somebody saying DM is easy. I've got Con was weird. So what we'll do is let me just present the screen and give you our sense in terms of what the paper was. After all, at this point in time, what we are doing is prediction. Like always, predictions can go wrong or right, but it can give some indication in terms of what the paper is. And so, what I want to sort of start off with is give my sense, and then I'll probably take the sense of other panelists here. Um, I cannot see the screen. So if GP joins, just let me know. Okay. Huh. So I think what overall the paper was, if I compare it to ZAC 2023, I would say that the paper would be tad difficult. I will not say absolutely difficult. So if I start with the VALR section, I think there were a lot of questions where you probably would have got confused. Time is never the issue. I'm sure that you've attempted all the questions. There would have been a few questions where you got a little more confused than it was last year. When I look at DM, we had all the questions were decision making questions. There were no sort of analytical reasoning type question that was there last year. So all there are 7 questions to three, many of the questions you did have implied or explicitly mentioned criteria. There could be a few questions here and there we would have made mistake, but I'm sure that we would have attempted all the questions. So I don't see too much of difference, given the fact that they were all were decision making questions compared to last year's. We had about one set which is non decision making stuff, which was slightly painful one. The more or less is going to be very similar to last year in terms of cutoff. I think the VRC cutoff probably going to go down a bit. And when I look at the quant, I mean, last year there were about 4 questions which everybody got marks, so that did not happen here. I think that in lot many cases, people have to read lot of essay and then figure out, "Acha, theek hai, this is a simple question." The
Just read the
questions were
RC and make a linear equation. In
so it
Quant,
was
it
it
was
was
just read the RC and make a linear equation. That's it.
it, it, it,
True.
it was not that the quant was sort of difficult or anything. It's just that it had a sort of lengthy story. But given the fact that they're actually given so much of time, he had so much of time, 3.5 hours, so
True.
175 minutes. I don't think the time was an issue. So that sort of overall takes of the cutoff of the quant will be lower than maybe about 4 marks lower than about last year. But overall, there'll be a slight reduction in terms of cutoff. We'll get to that. But before I move to what we believe is the prediction, let me get some feedback about the other two panelists who've taken the test, and let me get their take as well before we get there. Yeah, go ahead. One
So,
of you can
Abhilash
start.
Shashank.
man, go ahead.
All right. Hi,
Okay,
guys.
if you
Very
want.
warm welcome. Very interesting day today. That all around. Um, I found the paper to be kind of almost like last year's, to be very honest. I did not find much difference in terms of difficulty level, other than the fact that there were so many RCs. And that is what was the difference, I believe, that there were six passages to be solved, one poem and then five RCs. So that was one big thing. We had so many RCs to solve. So almost what 17, 18 questions from reading comprehension in the VRC section. Grammar, of course, was there, just two tiny questions. But then that's how it has been. Critical reasoning was there. Critical reasoning, the questions I felt were slightly more trickier and tougher. There was time, but it was difficult to get to the right answer because the options were very, very close. So that was that. Parajumble, one of the parajumble was fairly easy to solve. The other one was, I did not want to attempt it only because I could not see the pairs there. And I was busy looking at all my other sections also. So overall, VRC, an okay kind of section, almost similar to what last year's would be in terms of level of difficulty. If you look at DM, I think Jesus sir is a better authority on that. But however, I found the DM section to be again slightly tricky. Some of the questions that I really like, that Vimla and Sharda, the ring story, that was very interesting. And the go valve question was difficult. The save valve, go valve question, I found it to be tricky in terms of solving. And the other questions also not very easy to solve. It was not like fairly straight hoga vaisa. That was not the case with DM also. That was my take. Uh, Shashank, you want to take something out?
Okay. So we'll see about the quant. The quant till last year we have smaller questions where you do not have a lot of theory. This time it was like just read the RCs, read the critical reasoning, and just at the end of the question you have to make a linear equation. Only three last three lines were important in most of the I think approximately in every question. This time we had five LR sets. I think this was a little unexpected. Some too much data is given, and the questions were easy. I won't say they were difficult because I spent somewhere around 60, 70 minutes and I finished all 28 questions. So I don't think it was too difficult, but uh, the some questions they contain a lot of calculations as compared to CAT. We don't have calculator over here, so in some question you have to go do the manual calculation. Manual calculation can be a lot tricky a lot of times. So the chances of calculation error might be high, but I think anyhow 17, 18 questions were pretty doable in the paper. And even if you make few errors in the paper, still then you are going to end up at 13, 14, 15 correct. So if 15 you are getting 15 correct, in the worst case scenario you will end up at somewhere around 96 percentile, 96, 98 in QA section.
Yeah. So let me thank you. So let's get to so this is a paper the structure. I think last year was this was 22. This was decision making was 21 this time, and there is a sort of not much of surprise. You still had no attempt questions, negative point 1 mark if for anything above eight attempt questions. So sort of no sort of surprise there. And if I kind of go to the predictions, and I don't know whether you're, let me just highlight this a bit. Okay, let's go. Okay, so let me put it here. So one of the thing is this was basically last year's percentile cutoff. I don't know whether they have not come out anything. So just to give a sense, the business, this is the bare minimum that is required. Business management program, 75 percentile is what is required for VA, 75 percentile for DM, and 85 percentile depend upon whether you're male or female. So that's the case. And then for human resource management, you would require about 90 percentile for VA, 75 for DM, and 65, 70 for QA. So if I start with each one, I believe that what we believe is that the VALR 75 percentile will be roughly about 8ish, 9ish, and this can go to 7 point whatever to whatever. So, but it's about 8 to 9. Last year, this would have been close to about 10ish, roughly. So this year will probably even go to about maybe about 7.5 to 8. And if you want to hit the 90th percentile here, and probably that will be about 11 to 12ish, right? So this is owing to the fact that yes, there'll be lot many questions where you probably would have got had struggle. When I go to the decision making, it's by and large going to be very similar kind of last year, because at the end of the day, what is going to happen is in DM, this is what is going to happen in decision making. Almost all of you, this is 21 questions, sorry, okay. Almost all of you would have attempted 21 questions. All of you would have attempted 21 questions. And by way of sheer probability, there will be a chunk of people who will get more than 50% accuracy, right? So it's not so much that in decision making that people will what do you say, not leave any questions out. There was no analytical listening questions. It's a lot of so there were a lot of implied criteria that was there in decision making questions. You have to go through them. So about 75 percentile would be about 9 to 10 ish. So if you got about net anything above 50% accuracy with respect to decision making, I believe that we should be sort of safe at least to clear the cutoff. And if you want to look at a quant, so I think like what Sajang was saying, there were a lot of DI this time around. But given the fact that you had time to navigate the questions, if you spend some time in it, you can solve it. So if somebody who's sort of reasonably good in maths would have spent maybe about 60, 70 minutes, would have solved everything. This is still so just to give a sense in terms of 99 percentile last year was close to about 20 questions net correct. We believe that will not go that much. And the 70th percentile last year was about 11, 12 questions correct. So we believe that it's likely going to be around 7 to 8. And if you want to kind of hit cross the 90th percentile, then you probably require about 11 to 12, right? So overall, to get so kind of clear the bare sort of minimum cutoff, depending upon whatever position that you're in. So if you're roughly very close to about 36 total, I believe that you should start expecting. I think that's where the 95th percentile is, and anything maybe about once you cross 40s, you'll get to about 99 percentile. So overall, the way in which we looked at this particular thing is to compare the level of difficulty of these questions based on what we have seen in the previous few years. What has been the percentile and score in that, and comparing that to this. That is one analysis that we did. Second analysis that we did is individually looked at, for example, different type of question. What could be the likely accuracy that students would get? What would be the challenges students would face? And we have come out with this kind of thing. So again, to say that overall about 36 plus is likely what you're going to hit about 95 percentile plus. So if you're, let's say, in double digit in VLR, or double digit in DM, and double digit in QADI, and then you probably very very safely, very likely that you would have cleared the cutoff, right? So this is sort of the story. Anyone wants to add anything, or we can just move to individual sections, right?
Yes, so basically, I want to add there are few people say that the cutoff will be 42 to 44, but XLRI Jamshedpur calls at 97 plus percentile. So basically, you will be getting a call at I think somewhere around 36, 37 around, right? So the call will be made at 37. The cutoff 99 percentile would be somewhere around 42, 43 itself. Even last year it was
Yeah.
that.
So basically, please understand the cutoff is about you start getting calls at about 95 percentile, right? No, I think what XLRI does is XLRI does not add any 10 mark, 12 marks graduation. If you clear this basic cutoff, you're invited for the interview, and then this sort of stage happens. So the reason why we believe, so last year this was probably about in the range of 40, 42 ish. I think that's last year this was the range. The reason why this belief is the lowering of the QA, that will have an impact, because last year I think about 4 questions there was a problem that everybody was awarded marks to that kind of increase the score overall. And then the DM will be more or less very similar to how it was last year. We are probably very likely going to be slightly down than last year, but it'll be more or less the
Last
same.
year,
So that's
last year 1 mark was added for VA and 3 or 4 marks were added for QA. So
yeah.
so basically that's the reason the cutoff is going to be significantly lower. A lot of people are saying that it was tough, so things will be changed. No, things will not be changed. There will be a decrement of somewhere around 4 to 5 marks in the cutoff.
Yeah, but please understand that if I compare this to last year, this was about 10ish. This was about 11ish. This was about 11ish. So that was how it was last year. So we are basically saying that it's going to be less. than that. But the VLR will be slightly going to be less. The QA will be less, but the DM will be more or less the same. So if you have the very safe is about anything more than 40, and if you've got double digit in all the sections, then I think that will be the case. So no, the problem, of course, is we will get some sense in terms of what is likely I'm going to get in QA DI. We will at this point in time will very difficult to imagine or anticipate how much of these questions the DM I would have got correct. We would apply some logic, and same the case with VA LR. So we just have to wait and watch what happens. But we believe that the percentile will be very similar to this. Okay, just to dive a little deep in terms of the verbal ability section. So this was so let's start from this end. So this was what you see, reading comprehension. There were five passages. Couple of them were two questions each. So if I were to, so you had to read a little more here. So last year it was 3 into 4 here to get that. Get here we have got 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and it's not like the passages were very long, were about hardly 200 word passages and stuff. We've got a poem comprehension. The poem was very small. At the end of the day, in the poem, you have to figure out what the lady was doing.
Just
Okay.
one line.
So what is
Just
going on with her? Is he, for example, is he alone? I think it seems to be the case. It seems to be sort of the mood was a little dark. If I think that depending upon what you believe the lady was doing, probably you'll get both the questions correct or both the questions wrong. Okay, that's
Throughout the paper, I kept wondering what she is doing.
yeah. So
the lady was
it's about
trying to find herself in the mirror.
so the lady was finding it very hard to find herself in the mirror, and the light is also. I think probably it seems suggests that she is somewhere alone. So in my mind, I went solitude. That's what I felt. Okay, that's what I thought I marked, but I'm not too sure also. Then we had this fill in the blanks. I believe the fill in the blanks question would have been absolute speed breaker. It looks so easy,
No,
but he
it was
went to
very difficult, sir.
yeah, absolute speed breaker. It kind of
Yes,
looks
yes.
like you
They were
kept
very
looking at it.
deceptive.
And this is Ram Bharosa. Okay, so uh, so the critical reasoning questions out of this five, again you have got five options. In most of the cases you felt that okay both were looking right. So out of which I'm guessing about two correct, three wrong is what is likely going to happen. Grammar, I have seen. I think though these grammar questions this seems to be very straightforward. My own experience with CDC CDXs is that even this we I think these simple sentences we tend to uh, uh, we in our day to day use we you use it very incorrectly. So it's likely, but otherwise it was fine. Paragraph jumble. I think one was fine. One was sort of
Yeah,
one
one
was
was a
manageable.
tricky
Uh,
one. One was a very tricky
uh,
one. One was fairly doable.
so
And
if I kind of
someone has Jeev sir, someone has asked that was there parajumble in the paper?
हाँ है ना दो था
Of
दो
course, there were two
No,
two
someone was
parajumbles.
asking. I said like paper तो दिया ही होगा.
so मेरे हिसाब से क्या निकलने वाला है इसमें एक करेक्ट
Huh.
let's say one correct grammar में lesson two critical reasoning probably about two fill in the blanks I'm not too sure poem
Zero.
maybe poem maybe about one this reading comprehension would probably about half of them correct about 13
Yeah.
about 6 7 so 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 13 minus 26 minus another 13 minus 4 8ish. So that's the kind of where we thought that 75
That's where
percentile
we are.
it can very well be more than 10. It can even be 80 percentile. So what I've noticed in the last year is it's like the percentage score is like, for example, last year 75 percentile was 9.8, and 80 percentile was 9.9, 85 percentile was 10.3. So it can go haywire, and let's just hope that this is on the sort of higher side. So yeah, so this is the critical reasoning. There was one with relation between two paragraph. Identify conclusion must be true. Must be true was like one crazy sentence.
That was one
Uh,
weird set, sir.
uh,
I don't know what they decided to do with that. They just said, okay, let me just write something. And then people can go wonder what they're doing with it.
uh,
So
so
that
so
was
uh,
the summary
uh,
question was a good one. That
so
was a
the-
very
so
good
yeah,
one.
this must be a true question. I think the last sentence of that has a conditional logic.
Correct,
X if
yes.
Y. So
Ha, ha.
if you take that conditional logic, you would have got that question correct. But
Correct.
it was to disguise. And then we had uh, these passages on I think 3 4 passages I read stories. I don't know. Okay, so one was about
This
reductionism.
misbelief passage, sir, I realized that there was a portion of it. The middle paragraph was from some other text, and the first and the two were from some other text. So because I have read that middle portion somewhere, so I knew that this is something that I've already read from somewhere. And then the beginning and the end were somebody had written something that they felt like. So, but a
No,
nice one. This one was a nice passage.
so
If you didn't
it
say
was not as
misbelief.
though, so we have used to so many of these cat passages. If we look at this, there's nothing was very extraordinary. I think that was
No.
fairly fine, right?
Ha.
Uh, if at all, there's probably one passage to kind of understand was about beauty. Beauty is aesthetic, but not aesthetics. Okay, and then you got lot many words that are used there. So what I believe is that in this case, you can never be sure in terms 100% sure about what you're marking. You are by and large about 80 85 reasonably certain. So I think the best strategy would have been to attempt as much as you can and hope for the best. And like I said, the poem matlab, what the lady is doing, you figure out, then it's fine. Then you'll get both the questions correct. So that's where we are. So if I uh, hoping that it's not so. Even if I compare to a few of the critical reasoning questions of the previous years, they were really scoring. It was not very complicated. Here, the critical reasoning questions you had to struggle a bit, and the reading comprehension, as usual, plus the 5 options would have made it difficult. So overall, I think that if you're able to attempt 26 questions and get about 50% of the accuracy, I think that would be 75 percentile, maybe even 80 percentile. And then the higher your accuracy is, and hopefully you'll keep hitting the higher score. Yeah, I have. Anything you'd like to add, Abhilash? Here? Yeah.
No, so I think we've more or less covered everything.
चलो अब कुछ बच्चों लोगों को कुछ any thoughts there. I can't see the chat, so you'll
No,
have to.
somebody saying the beauty RC was weird. Yes, it was very weird. We could not do anything. Some things have to be weird. No, some when they're making a paper, they got to give you some googlies. So that was that. So you just had to kind of
No,
exist with it.
no, no, see. So one thing that you always seen in most of these RC passages of that is that the starting is weird. I think at the end of the passage is saying a very simple idea, right? You kind of see beauty in a lot of different sort of places, right? So that's
Correct.
it's the ubiquitous, so to speak, about beauty is everywhere. Beauty is not just about beauty. It's more in terms of you can see in politics, you can see here, you can see there, and it's
Correct.
uh, uh, sort of looking at the concept of beauty and not as to how we look at it. So I mean the issue is that there was no hurry. You can read the passage at your own pace, at your pace of comprehension. So I think the challenge obviously would have been with respect to the options. I don't think the challenge was largely
That
with respect
was
to the
the
passage.
biggest problem here, sir, that the options were so close that every time you looked at them, you felt, Are, this one is right. Then next time you look at it, you're like, no, this one is right. The third time you look at it, no, this one is right. So that was kind of driving everyone crazy. I was speaking to one of the students also in my center, and that's what they said, ma'am, समझ ही नहीं आ रहा था कौन से वाला सही नहीं है. So that was the thing, that how did you
Yeah.
eliminate the options? That was the problem here. Nothing else, I believe.
Now it all depends upon how the accuracy hit. There was a time, I think back in 2020, when the cutoff for verbal ability went to even 2 marks, two,
Two
three
marks,
marks.
yes.
Right. So now it all depends upon what XLRI believes the answer is, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. And then probably we'll revise his
I think
figures here.
they made a paper, then later on they will decide the cutoff.
No, no,
This
it's okay.
time
I
they
think, I
made
think,
it like
and
that only.
also, I'm sure that there are at least it's not like every single questions or options are bad. So some of the options were manageable, some were painful,
Yeah,
but
the
I'm sure
smaller
that
frame in
uh,
politics, the options were fairly okay and
so
solvable.
so
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 that
you've
was
got
one
options.
that you could have done.
So for example, out of these we had about 13. So what is it, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 questions. You can definitely say that you would have really struggled with about 5 of them.
Yeah,
5 of them you would have had nailed it with easily. Two would have been fine. Now it's a question of if you have left out one passage completely, that and all would be a problem. Okay, so we're just hoping that things will happen. Let's move to this. Okay, so we have got 7 into 3. They kept it sort
Yes.
of
Very
simple.
straightforward in DM.
So you had sort of a lot of these questions. I think one of these questions was questions about a business school, which is kind of okay. Or somebody wants to join a B school, and there's sort of working, and he has not told. A lot of these stories were not uh, very different. Probably this is about Wall would have been the one that seems okay, but it also gave data which was very clean. I
Yes,
believe that
yes.
it's basically you got level one, level two, level three. Everything was very clearly structured.
Yeah,
So if you
30% was
uh,
level one, so you just spotted that, and then it was doable. It was
the
doable.
35% there, 35%
Yeah.
there, and then some of the options, three assets, a few questions you can eliminate easily and get it. But yeah, so it was so you had these cases. I'm saying that not one thing that we found is you've got cases which are long. You've got some cases questions were also very long. So when you have say long questions, trying to identify the criteria would be the key thing here. If kind of somebody missed that out, then probably would have made mistake. But otherwise, it is not out of very vague. Uh, all these sort of questions sort of
Every
managed.
set, sir, I found that there was at least one question that you could have done very easily, where the criteria was visible to you. That okay, this is one question that is very easily that was visible. The other two questions were, yes, you had to think and you had to identify the criteria and spend time on that. But every set, at least one question was there, which was fairly easy, which the answer was visible very easily. So
So,
if you were able to just spot those questions, your life was very easy.
So I think that would be about 777 is what I think in terms of questions where having a set of about seven questions which was straightforward, manageable. Then there is this one. There are other ones where we are thinking about what criteria do I use. I think I
Exactly.
remember some of these cases where you go. Now I don't recollect exactly some of the uh, specific situation, but in for example, stolen ring question, right? So in a few questions, you go, okay, what is the criteria that I should use? And the last question, what should somebody do next time for avoiding such a thing? And then here, like,
Correct.
okay, then I just have to figure out what criteria should I use and what happened in this particular case. And then it lot many cases, okay, you've got something that is there in the main case, something that is in the question. So we did pose a bit of challenge. I'm not saying no, but given the fact that there was no analytic listening one, there was no vague one, everybody attempting all these 21 questions for sure. So it will be sort of very similar to what we have seen in the freeze, unless of course Zat comes out with weird answers, which I doubt that's going to happen.
Which
Then,
is entirely possible with Zat.
which is if
They
like a
can come up
20.
with any
Uh,
sort of answers at
uh,
any point in time. So
not
yeah.
necessarily, not necessarily, but I'm saying I think in the past we like a 2020, then we'll sort of re-evaluate. Otherwise it's like that one. Going to math. Let me start with my story. There was one
Hmm.
question about what was it? Some electives, science people doing some two subjects, physics.
Yes.
I thought when I looked at the question, I thought it
That
was a DI set. Okay, so I created table and all. Okay, I created
Me
nice
too.
table, nice table. I'm gonna now answer three questions, right? Then I say, hey, table, what is this? Okay, and then
that
and
was
then that
that was a linear equation with RC. That
uh,
That
was
was
just a linear
crazy.
equation
uh,
with
I made a
RC.
set too.
I I
I thought,
I
this
took
is
3 minutes to
solvable.
read, understand everything. I took 3 minutes to read, understand everything. Then when started solving it, I got the answer immediately, and answer was 95. I was too
yeah,
quick in getting the answer, just
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
figuring out too much information that was given. And I think there were 3 to 4 questions where not much information was given. Uh, One that polynomial equation, that question.
Yes.
So that question is straightforward. That was given, and the answer was tricky. If someone is using the options, they can get the answers easily. Otherwise,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, it would have been a little difficult. I think answer was 36 is to 16 is to 1. Uh, no, Tanmay, the answer of that question is was 95. And some questions there was, I think you have read that one question, that a biryani question, right? There was
Yeah,
a
that was a
person
very
who was
nice
telling
question.
regarding it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when people are
Yeah,
reading that question, everyone is thinking that is a question of profit and loss, but that is not of profit and loss. That is of quadratic equation. So
correct.
eventually, you make a quadratic equation, you solve the equation, you'll get some answer. And I think the answer was 25,000 something.
Okay,
So
my
one thing
favorite
that
question in the quant was the Ruby, the joules question. So you had to identify how many joules were there entirely. That was totally up my sleeve. So I enjoyed doing that one question.
I
All others, I was
when I
like
started
sleeping through.
solving that Jew question was, I thought I'm not going to get the answer. It is too many variables are there. When I just started writing the equation, and I got the answer as I think 990. If I have not made any calculation error, then answer is 990 itself.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, even
Then
I
I
could.
had made a calculation error,
So
which
one
is
thing.
entirely possible,
So
knowing
so,
that I am very bad at maths.
one of the things which was slightly different this time around from last time, this DI. Okay, so we had
Yeah.
the 3 to 9 10, so out of 11 questions of data interpretation, and then we had one questions of data sufficiency. Let's take that 12, and I think the maths remaining is about 16. Out of which there were enough sort of questions
no,
on your
actually,
yeah.
I would differ a little bit. There were 15 questions of quant, two of set theory. So basically, in LIDI, there were 13 questions in total.
Okay, let's add this. Okay, huh? So
Hmm.
let's take 13 here. Okay.
And 15 there.
Uh, so let's take 13 here and 15 there. So somebody's calling me.
Hmm.
Okay. One second. GP is calling. One second.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. So there was a question of T21, right? So the onion cabbage one, the answer was, I
But
think, if someone is buying all onions, the pricing is 1 rupee and the probability is 3 by 10.
correct.
Yeah, so that was the answer of that question.
That was a set that I tried, started solving, but then I realized that I didn't have time, so I just
No, there
said,
were
So
too
okay,
many
let me
equation
do
in
that.
that, and we have
just to give one basically point, if I when you had things like this, I mean, it's slightly long. It kind of required someone to manage the time effectively. So but if you had with you a good 70 minutes, 80 minutes with you, then I think that you can go through each question. If you invest in questions, you are getting answers, right? So if you look at these questions and go with the look of the question, then leave the question, it's going to be a problem. In general, if you look at it, it was not as though any of these required very high funda maths, right? It was it had a lot many stories. Even if I look at the questions on geometry or number system, which is basically basic of LCM, and um, when you look at all the arithmetic questions, they did have a lot of stories. The one on logarithm was also not very complicated, right? So if you and the polynomials and even the PNC probably
that
sort
question
of
was
little
tricky.
uh,
That
but you
question was
still
tricky. The answer is two.
uh, yeah.
That question was tricky. I got the answer as two for that question. It was too
Really?
much of calculation. Yes, yes.
So,
No,
So
I
what
got
was the
answers
answer
for
to the
every question. I got
BBB
answer for
question,
every question.
Shashank?
I solved every question, all
so the
20.
the point that I was making is, given the fact that, for example, we are back with median this time. Okay,
Yes,
I think
yes.
people are
Yes.
now used after cat. We have seen median again. It was not a question which is very difficult, by the way, right? Though it's like statistic hinge number. Once you understand, example was given. uh, or even the questions on the T20 match or the discount question. It's not as though these questions were painful. I think the pain happens with lot of information to read, and if someone had the time, then manage it. Which is why we believe that if you're out of these questions, let's say out of these 15 questions of maths, let's say if you can knock off about at least half of them, and that itself would have got you par, maybe very close, and then a few questions here and there. I'm sure that got you past the basic cutoff. And someone who is decently good in maths, I mean, I'm sure that if they invest the time, they would have cracked more number of questions here. So only issue is whether you Whether you looked at the question and by the look of it left the question, that's about it. And if you're sort of brave enough to go through the question, understand what the question asking, I'm sure that at some point in time you could do it, because all you needed was to have a little bit of time with you. And if you had that, I think it was kind of manageable. Yeah.
Yeah, I
True.
think the quant was pretty much manageable. If you learn how to leave a question after 3 to 4 minutes, so the answers someone was talking about, the answer of A triple B is that question. The answer of that question is 3B should be divisible by A, because we are not looking for correct answer. We are looking for the most appropriate one. To read the language of the question, there is only one answer. Fine. So, even if we are talking about the question of set theory, the two questions that we are talking about, they were extremely easy. Just instead of using any formula, just make the Venn diagram, circle, 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 and just start putting the random values in those, and
Correct.
eventually you will get two answers. And that set theory question was easy. The T20 question, the whole catch of that T20 question was 7.43. So if we are talking about in fraction, 0.43 is actually 3 upon 7. So that will directly going to give you the value of n as 7. So that set was fairly easy. Apart from that, I think few quant questions were easy. I think getting 11 or 12 right in this paper was not that difficult.
So
So
somebody said there were two answers to that ABV question
no,
also.
no, no, no. They just misread the question. The questions. Uh, so the answer for the set theory one, the for the first question, I think all three was two, and uh, the none of the all three was 26. Answer of DS was cannot be determined. Even if you use both the statements, you can't get the answer. That one. That one.
What was the answer, Shashank, to the geometry question? The one where there was a triangle, 18 and 24, and then two circles were there?
The answer of that question was, in my opinion, that was six. That was three.
Okay.
For the logarithm one, the answer is no value of x. That was the answer.
Okay, so GP is still on the road, so he is. So we'll take him in. We'll just quickly move on. I think the GK was a lot of questions were pretty recent ones, though
Very
unfortunately I didn't
recent.
know.
There was a
Very recent.
question from 1st of January also. This
Yeah,
was 1st of January,
uh,
there's
uh,
something happened in Japan. So they said which city has been affected by that. So as recent as that. Very, very recent.
so there is no negative marking here. I'm sure that you have marked everything, and this will get in play in the second stage of selection process. What weightage it has, nobody knows. And then you had these three essays. I have, which was you had to pick one. Unfortunately, I only saw the first one. And when I submitted, I saw the second. Okay, then I
Same.
saw the third. Okay, I never realized this was there.
That there were
And then
three
he's saying that you.
choices.
Then at about 2 minutes left, the person is saying, "If you want to write this essay, please delete the other one." I said, "Okay, sorry." So I don't know how many of you eventually wrote. Tech prediction often fail not because of wrong models or a lack of imagination, but due to humility in admitting your uncertainty about future. I don't know how many of you wrote this one. Okay.
So I wrote this one only. This was the first essay in my set. So I just saw that, solved it. Didn't realize there would be two more. Once I submitted, then he's saying one more question. And then he says go back and delete. So I was like, now I cannot do anything. So
So this
yeah,
was kind of weird in the sense the test to it was at the beginning said that there were three options, but when I
yeah.
came here, it didn't look like there were three options. Who knows? You have to click submit and next. I don't know what would have happened if I click save and next, whether everything will close down. So this was I don't know how. I just want. I'm very curious. How many of you just want the chat box? What number do you write? I'm basically guessing a lot of ones is going to come.
I wrote first, but I have seen all three.
Okay,
Oh,
wonderful.
you were smarter.
No, ma'am. Last year,
Implement.
even last year they had three. So I did
Oh,
remember that thing.
Yeah, but somehow I for whatever reason I was not able to see the second and the third one. Last year I saw all three, but this year I was just not able to see. I
It
just
was just
started
like the
Well,
writing.
question.
no, so last year what it was, there were three questions that is given. You had to select one, and then the essay were to written. Here they were like it was
Ah,
Correct.
slightly random. I don't know what it meant. Anyways, this would be for second stage of selection process, and they mentioned 250 words. I don't know who checked these 250 words. I have no idea. Okay, it never stopped.
no, no. Actually, when you are writing in that box, na, it does not allow you to write more than 250 words.
अच्छा okay ठीक
Oh,
ठीक
so then
so I do not
Because last year I was just writing gibberish. After a certain point of time, it did not let me type.
probably it understood that you were writing gibberish.
yeah
Gibberish.
otherwise when I look at the see, passages if you look at this implementing most I think this second would have been something that would have been very
Fun.
comfortable for people to write
Yes, yes, yes. Far
and I'm sure
easier.
that and then the third is for the brave ones okay so I don't know
Very
how
generous.
many of you ventured into it very few people would have
I
written
think there's
three
one person who
uh,
said that I have done this. Only one person who said number three.
so number
Most
three
of
would
the
be
people have said number two.
As
Most
a
of the people have said number
uh,
two.
number three would be a very smart thing to do because then you're saying that this year like most of the people will be writing to this opens up the door in terms of a lot of creativity you could write but then that's fine you're writing what you're writing at that point in time with whatever 25 minutes that we have and uh, and this is going to be useful for the second stage of selection process and all of you with respect to the calls of various IMs also know that the VAT is an important thing writing essay is going to be crucial from henceforth. So if you struggled writing essay here, do and if you're getting calls from all of these schools, please do ensure that this is in place. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so there we have it. We have we'll leave this as what we believe would be the percentile versus the score, and once the answer key comes out, then we'll be able to make better prediction and and then I'm sure that they will release answer key and ask you for issues and stuff, which is going to come anytime. And like always, we'll be able to correct it and whatever is so based on real data, we'll be able to make prediction. Currently, it's about our analysis and what the past year's analysis. Let's hope that you had a good ZAT and this kind of ends for most of us the season. I'm sure that there are still some more tests to be happen, maybe MHCT another set test, but most of us that was important after the debacle of CAT, and I'm hoping that whatever happened. Now let's hope that the ZAT 2024 brings you good news and all the very best, and we're signing off.
All right. Thank you guys. I hope this session was useful for you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shashank.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
all the best to everyone. And trust me, no one knows the answer as of now, so don't lose your heart. So, more likely, everyone who is attending this might get a call. Don't worry about it. Wish you all the luck.
Thank you.